Do I have everybody's attention now?
One of my favorite, I don't know what you want to call it, the opening video package that they do for pay-per-views. One of my favorite opening video packages for WrestleMania was a couple years ago, and basically the idea of it was all the superstars involved, all the big names, all, you know, Edge, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, etc., 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 in one way or another saying it's amazing how much things can change in a year. Anything can change in a year. People leave, people return, champions are crowned, faces turn heel, heels turn face, etc., etc., etc. And it's one of the most identifiable video packages that WWE's ever put together, and a lot of things can change in a year, a lot of things can change in a couple months. That's not only true in the WWE, that is definitely true in the YWC. The last time I did a reality check video, and no, I didn't think that it would become a series, I didn't think I'd be doing another one quite like this. I wasn't in a good spot as a fan. I'm not trying to say I was having a mental breakdown or anything like that, but there was a lot of things that annoyed me about the product. A lot of them revolved around John Cena. I think I let my disdain for John Cena override anything else that was going on in the WWE. Hell, I did the 2 Cena Apocalypse videos, and don't get me wrong, I don't regret doing them. It was how I felt at the time. It felt great to get it off my chest, and I did it at the encouragement of a lot of supportive friends that I've made here in the YWC. Now, fast forward a year to a point where I am absolutely loving the WWE product, and every single solitary person, with the exception of a couple, all the same people that shit on my head for being way too negative about the product, are all trying to sound like they're on the verge of giving up, on the verge of, you know, turning their back on wrestling, etc. It's no surprise. I'm usually not one that agrees with the crowd. Hell, when I did the first reality check video, the only person at the time that was really ranting about WWE as much as I was Wrestling Jesus. Therefore, I put in the metaphor, "Hey WJ, you're not in this alone. Tag me in." Now, again, there's only one person really that seems as optimistic about the WWE as I am right at the current moment, and that is John, also known as VocalAggression. Anybody within the sound of my voice that is not subscribed to VocalAggression, that is not subscribed to the podcast TWitWoW that he does with Ashton, no. I don't like Ashton. I don't like Ashton's style most of the time. If you asked me my opinion of Ashton as a solo shooter, I would probably laugh and walk away. But you know what? TWitWoW is worth watching to get John, because John is the encapsulation, and more than I could ever claim to be, of passionate wrestling fan. And he's having, from the videos that I've seen him put out in the past couple of days, from the podcast I've seen him put out in the past couple of days, he's having as much fun with the product right now as I am. So, John, this one's to you. I'm climbing back on the apron. I'm dusting off my boots. I'm leaning on those ropes hard. I've got my tag rope in one hand. The other one is reaching into the ring. John, whenever you are ready, buddy, just tag me in. I did it. I let John Cena last year completely ruin my experience as a wrestling fan. But now we've got people that are willing to bury the industry as a whole. I never went that far. I said WWE was pissing me off. I never went to the point of wrestling as a whole is dead, which some people have. I never went to the degree of you know, people tell me that I'm crazy for liking the product right now. People have gone as far with John as to tell him that he needs to hand in his wrestling fan card, which is one of the most ridiculous and one of the most grotesque things I've heard since I joined this community, which is supposed to be a community, isn't it? But it's so petty. Like, I hated something that was dominating the product. So it's a little understandable. I've backed off. Yes, John Cena is still the main guy, etc., etc., etc. That was my big qualm with the WWE. It still is. But I've learned to live with it because John Cena's going to do what he does, and the rest of the guys that and girls and whoever else that are making the product good are making it fucking fantastic. 1000th episode of Raw, you know, milestone for television in general, not just wrestling. Great pay-per-views, great pay-per-view matches, other than most of the Cena matches. But no, you know, everybody's got their little thing, and what it boils down to is everybody either has something that they want that they don't get, and they get butthurt about it, so there's nothing else on the show worth watching, or you got the people out there that fantasy book, da-da-da-da-da, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen. And if their prediction is wrong, oh my fucking god, if their prediction is wrong, if a wrestling fan has a fantasy booking or an idea of where they think the WWE is gonna go, and they don't do it exactly the way, to the letter that fan's, the rest of it's garbage. Their prediction could be something to do with the opening match on the card. If that opening match doesn't go the way they wanted it to go, the entire show is shit. The entire company is shit. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, da-da-da-da-da. I'm pretty sure the WWE would not have made it to 1,000 episodes of Raw and God knows how many pay-per-views and become as big and as huge of a fucking financial conglomerate as they are if they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. We don't like everything they do. We don't like the fact that everything they do that we don't like makes sense. That's the thing. Because the things we don't like still make sense to somebody somewhere and they work somehow. It just doesn't work for me. This isn't what I predicted. This isn't what I wanted. I wanted it to be this instead. So because I didn't get my way, I'm not going to admit that anything else is good. I'm not going to admit that anything else is awesome, you know. I had to eat 3 or 4 vegetables on the side of my plate, so I refuse to admit that the dessert was fucking delicious. Oh, yes. Just a few. Just a few points. Spaz's what do you want to call it? Tag me in. Spaz's Reality Check Chapter 2. Whatever the fuck corny name you want to call it. And no, I expect to be flagged. I expect to lose subs. I expect people to be pissed off, because if you're not pissed off by the end of this video, I really haven't done my fucking job. There we go. Point 1. And a lot of these points come from the Raw 1000 episode, because there was a lot of questionable shit happening this year, you know. John Laurinaitis and John Cena main eventing a pay-per-view, you know, over Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. Prime example. Questionable. Da-da-da-da-da, whatever. Did it make any sense? No. What we all said it in one way or another. The Raw 1000 episode was going to give us an idea of where WWE was going. And now everybody looks at the show and says, well, that wasn't a good wrestling show. You know, there wasn't much wrestling on it. There wasn't much storytelling on it. Da-da-da-da-da. It didn't fit the mold. It didn't, you know, last week's was better and da-da-da-da. Thing is, it's apples and oranges. And that's what nobody seems to understand, or at least the ones that are bitching about it don't understand. Apples and fucking oranges. This was not your standard episode of Raw, for sure. What we got, you know, what was it, 2 nights ago, was a celebration. It wasn't a standard episode of Raw. If WWE was a Little League team, this wasn't the World Series game. This was the team going out for pizza afterwards and saying, hey, that was a good time. You try to compare this to any other episode of Raw, you're a moron, and you're setting yourself up for disaster. This was a celebration. This was for fun. This was for nostalgia. This was for a lot of feel-good moments. And if you can honestly tell me that you sat through Raw for 3 hours, the first episode of the 3-hour era, and didn't have any feel-good moments, then it is in fact you, or whoever else is watching this video that indeed needs to turn in their fandom card, because your heart has gone black and frigid and dead. Yes, I said it. Let's look at just something. You know, people are pissed off that we didn't get Jim Ross for the whole show. Whoop-de-ding. Flip it around. You got Jim Ross at all. Reality check number 1. Jim Ross is not a member of the Raw broadcast team anymore. So WWE gave you a treat because they know you like him and they know that he can add to the show, and he is a part of the past. I love Jim Ross on commentary. I have as much respect for him as anybody else, but the reality is he is as much a part of the past as Psycho Sid and Vader and Animal and Hawk, you know, God rest his soul and all that. He is as much part of the past as those guys are. You got a treat from him tonight. You got to see him do what he does best. Couple more things to think about. Howard Finkel. Howard Finkel was at Raw tonight. He's probably one of the best ring announcers they've ever had. All due respect to, you know, Chimmel and Roberts and Garcia and all those people. Fink, along with Michael Buffer, two of the most iconic wrestling announcers of all time. He was there. He only announced one match tonight. Nobody bitched about that. Hypocrisy running wild. Oh yes. WWE bottom line didn't have to give you Jim Ross at all. Did they? Oh no. You got Jim Ross. Oh, well, we didn't get him for the main event. Well, did you need anything? Did you need anything else for that main event? Really? Really? You got the whole Rock, Punk, Cena, okay, not exactly happy about the Big Show being involved, but they needed somebody to fill the void that the Big Show filled tonight, and even he did it great. I didn't even mind John Cena tonight. Me, Mr. Cena Apocalypse 1 and 2, did not mind John Cena tonight because it all worked. You didn't need Jim Ross. The enjoyment of Jim Ross, and I don't care how fucked up you think this is going to sound, the enjoyment of Jim Ross on commentary would have taken the focus off of the amazing shit happening in the ring, and that's a fact. Another thing to think about, Michael Cole is living in the shadow of Jim Ross. Now, we all have our questionable opinions of Michael Cole, but whether we like it or not, Michael Cole is, along with Jerry Lawler, the new voice of Raw. It is how things will be going forward. Now, we're going to be complaining about Michael Cole forever if we keep comparing him to Jim Ross. And every time Jim Ross dips in to do some commentary, as great as it is, it fucks Michael Cole. Yes, it does. And I'm sorry, Michael Cole is the voice of your flagship show. You can't be fucking with him too much. Here's the deal. You want to think not just about what 1000 is going to be like, but 1001 is like. And I'm sorry, if we got an entire 3-hour show with Jim Ross commentating, Michael Cole, by comparison, next week would have sounded like shit. And no matter what, that would have been a cloud hanging over the head of episode 1001. And WWE can't do that. Take a second. Maybe you don't like what happened. Maybe take a couple seconds to think about why it happened or why it didn't happen. As opposed to, oh, I just didn't get what I wanted, so I'm gonna bitch. Oh, yes. The tag team match, or the 3-on-3 tag team match that we got on Raw tonight, involved 5 former or current world champions and Sin Cara, who got the rub of being the 6th person in the match. But you got Jim Ross in there commentating on 5 champions or former champions, former world champions in one match. Yeah. Think about it that way. Jim Ross got to lay his voice to the current World Heavyweight Champion and 4 other former World Heavyweight Champions. Think about it that way. Try to, you know, I'm not saying necessarily you have to agree with me, but take your hat off, put my hat on for a second, listen to what I'm saying, and think about it that way. Think about the good that it did. Maybe he contributed, I don't know, I wasn't thinking about Sin Cara a lot in the 3-hour Raw. Maybe Jim Ross somehow subconsciously put over Sin Cara a little bit. Maybe by acting as if Sin Cara, you know, didn't look a step out of place with all those former world champions, maybe it did a little bit for Sin Cara. I don't know. Maybe it did something good. Maybe it planted something in the back of all of our heads that we don't even realize right now. Try examining the possibility of positivity. Just one. Okay, here's one of the big ones. Here is one of the big ones. We didn't have Austin on Raw. Now, yes, I will say it. Austin wasn't on Raw and it sucked. I would have bet money that one of the shoo-ins would have been Austin. He wasn't on the show. That sucks. I was disappointed. That's fine and whatever. But bottom line, we don't know why he wasn't on there. We don't know whether that was WWE's call. We don't know whether that was Austin's call. We don't know whether he got trapped in an airport somewhere. We don't know because we're not standing, you know, side by side, hip to hip with Steve Austin at 8 o'clock when Raw came on, or 9 o'clock if you live in Canada because the score is lame and puts shit on late. But we don't know. We are only speculating. All we know is we didn't get what we wanted. Again. So we're gonna bitch. So Austin wasn't there, so everybody else, every other legend, every other, you know, feel-good moment, the entire reunion of DX, you know, the return of Vader, one of the best big men of all time, the return of Psycho Sid, one of the, you know, craziest characters of all time. I would have loved to see Psycho Sid interact with AJ. I think that would have been awesome. you know, the return of Trish Stratus, the return of Stephanie McMahon, the return of, like I said, the Fink, the return of the, I can't think of his name, but the backstage announcer from the very first episode of Raw. We did get Jim Ross a little bit, but no, none of that matters, because you didn't get Austin. Here's my thing. Austin is on Raw a lot. He is. Whether it's anniversary shows, whether it's leading up to Mania, whether it's this, whether it's that, whether he's a referee at Mania, which has been his shtick for a few years now, we see a lot of Austin. You know what disappointed me? I didn't see Edge tonight. I could bitch that my favorite wrestler is still in the other company, but I don't, because the fact that a couple people I wanted to see weren't there doesn't take away from the amazing show that we still got. Here's what I'm going to say. We don't know. I've heard two separate sets of rumors since Raw. One was that he wasn't there due to injury, like we know his knees and his back and shit are all fucked up. Quite believable that he could have been injured, physically unable to come. Second is that he's doing some TV or movie thing and he couldn't move things around and he could not at all do any kind of scheduling around it. And you know what? If that's the case, he's not a wrestler anymore. Whatever he's doing now is a part of his, you know, next stage non-wrestler life. If you want to hear about people talk, if you want to hear people talk about their non-wrestling life, listen to any interviews that Shawn Michaels or Edge has had. You know, they loved what they did, but they're happy that it's over. You know, they have other things going on now. Now, here's the thing. Austin could have flat out said, no, I'm not available. And all the reasons that you guys, all you guys that are butthurt about this have for he was the driving force behind WWE. He was the driving force behind the success of Raw. He was the driving force, you know, that helped them put WCW out of business. He contributed all this, and this. All those reasons that you have that he should have been on Raw are all the same reasons that he has earned the right to say no if he wanted to, if he needed to, if he had somewhere else to be, something else to do, and something that was more important. He might have had something, try to absorb this, that was more important. He could have had something personal. He could have had a family issue. He could have had a medical issue. He could have had a business issue, a TV issue, whatever. You don't know. All you know is that you didn't get what you wanted, and it put this big fucking black cloud over your whole night, and you sat there and shit yourself and got all upset. That's all you know. People there saying, oh, well, we need Austin because Austin's the great representative of the Attitude Era. Here's the deal. You know who was there representing the Attitude Era? Was The Rock. And all the same people that are pissed that Austin wasn't there are all the same people that are, oh, you know, we're tired of The Rock, you know, coming in and taking his 5 minutes of fame and leaving again. And here's the deal. Here's what you don't want to hear. If Austin had come in, stunned somebody and left, that would have been somebody coming in for 5 minutes of fame and leaving again. The Rock is here, and The Rock, it was more important that The Rock was here because The Rock is still contributing to the current product. The Rock, not very often, I will give you that, but The Rock is still able to compete. The Rock is still able to interact with people, put people over, get us excited. We're already excited about next year's Royal Rumble now for the possibility. I am salivating for the possibility of Rock versus Punk. Oh yes, yes I am, and I'm sorry to say it, unless his medical situation has done a complete 180, Austin can't do that. Austin cannot do for Punk what we would all love him to be able to do. Everybody wants to see Punk versus Austin, including me, but I doubt he's in the position or in the condition right now to do it. So you know who's doing it right now? The Rock. So by that alone, The Rock deserved to be on Raw more than Austin, and I fucking said it. Deal with it. It's not a disrespect thing. It's just you can't take away from what you did have because you didn't get one piece. Yeah, it's a major piece. Austin would have been a major piece of this show. Nobody's denying that. But one big missing piece does not take away from everything else. I'm sorry. And everybody, this is another one of those things. Everybody doesn't like being wrong. Everybody was so sure, even though WWE said nothing to this effect, they were so sure that the last legend that Heath Slater was going to face was Austin, and they're so pissed off that it's Lita, right? That it was Lita instead. Never mind the fact that it wasn't just Lita, it was the payoff. It was all the legends coming down to put the beat down on Heath Slater. Never mind that whether you want to admit it or not, Lita is one of the best, if not the best, WWE, not diva, WWE women's wrestlers to ever fucking lace boots. And in that capacity, she deserves just as much of a 5 seconds to shine, or 5 minutes to shine, or 15 fucking minutes to shine as Austin does. And yes, I said it. The dislike button is right there. The comment box is right there. Give me whatever the fuck you want. It's true. Name me one woman whose name isn't China or somebody along those lines who's, you know, almost a man, pretty much, that can say that. Oh, we didn't get this guy showing up that we wanted. Here we go. I'm gonna toss another name out there. You know, fucking Mr. Rooter and Spooge Daddy from the Off the Rope Scam Show. They're pissed off. They went and helped out with some fucking charity, you know, honky-donk friggin' Hall of Fame thing in the States somewhere that I've never heard of, and Kurt Angle ditched them. Same deal. Same fucking deal. They want to slash all over Kurt Angle because he wasn't able to show. They don't know why. They can sit there and speculate and talk bullshit because it'll get them views, but they don't know why he wasn't there either. No, 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 no. No. And yes, they're going to come after me. And why are they going to come after me? Because I'm a fan of Wrestling Jesus, and this is just a new thing for them to argue with me about. Anybody that's been following them knows that. But Kurt Angle doesn't owe you anything. Go fuck yourself. Here's another one. Here's another one. Oh, my good buddy Eon Izzle, Ashton. Here's another example. You got the biggest fucking man crush on Dean Ambrose, somebody who hasn't seen WWE television yet, and you've got the balls and the friggin' fake cojones to say that every episode of Raw that Dean Ambrose doesn't debut on is going to be my heat of the week. I can't go one more WrestleMania without Dean Ambrose on the card. Pop the fucking tit out of your mouth. You're not even an asshole anymore. You're a spoiled brat and you need to get over yourself. All this, oh well, my guy's not there, so fuck it. If I went with that attitude, I wouldn't be watching WWE right now. I'd be the ones, you know, flying the TNA banners high over WWE. But I'm not, because I'm not that petty, and I'm willing to admit that people that aren't even necessarily in my Fave 5 are still doing a fucking fantastic job. Right. People don't like AJ as the new GM. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing about this one. It's not that people don't like the idea of AJ as the new GM, because they have no idea where it's going to go. The people that don't like AJ as the new GM are the people that don't like AJ, period, and this is just their new reason to bitch. Oh, well, we don't like her, she's on TV too much, and we don't want her to be on TV, so anything that'll put her on TV, we're going to bitch about. Never mind the fact that this could be fun. This could be unpredictable. I'm not saying it's going to be fantastic. I'm saying don't shoot it down from fucking Jump Street when it could be fun. It could be way out there. It could be crazy, da-da-da-da, whatever. Another thing, the Raw General Manager title has been a hot potato that has not been held in high regard in the best of times. We were at the mercy of a laptop for 2 years. We had celebrity after celebrity after celebrity every week as the GM. Would you rather have that? We had Mike fucking Adamle. We did. We had, I don't know, we had the coach for a while. There has not been a believable general manager or otherwise titled person that I actually gave a fuck about since either Vince McMahon or Eric Bischoff. So they've slotted somebody else into the spot. She's crazy. It could be fun. And I don't care. I'm a guy. Everything down there works. She's fucking hot. What else do you want? It's great for the divas because here's the other point. All the powerful figures, all of them, be it Vince, be it Shane, be it Stephanie, be it John Laurinaitis, be it Eric Bischoff, be it this person, that person, the next person. Hell, Seth Green co-hosted Raw one night, and he was tag team partner. He ended up being tag team partners with Triple H at the end of the night. Anybody that has any power eventually ends up in the ring. At least AJ Lee's an actual wrestler. It's not like friggin' Vicky Guerrero running the place and she thinks she can step in the ring. Come on, let's look at the positive thing. It's personal taste. You don't like AJ Lee, so you're not going to like anything that they do that involves AJ Lee. It's not just, oh, she won't make a good general manager, because you don't even fucking know. You don't even fucking know. Oh, we're entering the 3-hour era with AJ in charge. It's going to tank in 2 weeks. Go fuck yourself. Honestly. Honestly. And, oh, dear God. Ho ho ho. This isn't about the 3-hour Raw. This actually involves a spoiler for this week's SmackDown, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Before I get into this, I'm going to precursor it with one thing. Before all of you that like seeing YWC drama go and think that I'm trying to restart the Spaz versus Psycho Shooter rivalry that I had with Preston a couple years ago, that's not what this is about. Preston is a big Rey Mysterio fan, and yes, that's what the next point I'm going to make is. But he's not the only one that I've heard this bullshit from. Oh yes. Oh yes. Everybody that's a diehard Rey Mysterio fan was so sure that the very first rivalry he was going to get into when he came back from his injury / suspension for drug use. Oh yes, that he was going to come in and he was going to have a high profile spot and he was going to go right up against Alberto Del Rio right away because the WWE owes us that and the WWE owes Rey that and da-da-da-da-da. That was your prediction. That was your prediction. WWE never gave you the slightest idea of anything to do with that, other than the fact that he returned and he did attack Del Rio. Maybe that was his receipt. Maybe he got his quick receipt and he's going to go on and do something else. WWE never promised you a great, big, grand Rey Mysterio versus Alberto Del Rio 6-month rivalry. What happened on SmackDown? And I'll tell you. Spoiler alert. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. They had a contenders match for who's going to face Sheamus at SummerSlam. It's going to be Alberto Del Rio, which means Alberto Del Rio is not facing Rey. Now, the idea that WWE owes Rey. Rey was suspended for drug use. He should be happy to come back and still have a job, let alone be clamoring and walking around like somebody owes him a pay-per-view spot or a high-profile pay-per-view spot, because I'm sorry, Rey's a former champion and Alberto Del Rio is a former champion / he's very, very recently been named the #1 contender again, so that would be a high-profile match. Somebody that you've just had suspended for drug use isn't going to be involved in a pseudo-main event match at a Big 4 pay-per-view right after they've come back, did they? No, 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 no. The other thing is, as much as I don't like it, Alberto Del Rio is not as big as WWE would like to think. So here's the other thing. Rey is way up here because he's good with the kids and da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, and he does this and he does that and he does the next thing and he goes and flies and he's the biggest little man and he's the smallest dog in the fight and all that shit and nonsense that puts him right on John Cena level. So as far as WWE is concerned, Del Rio would probably be a step down for Rey, but nobody wants to see it that way. Oh, they want their scalp. They want their revenge because Alberto Del Rio put Rey out. It's not fucking ballet, if I can steal a phrase from Taz and from Booker and from everybody else that's ever said it. Yeah, so suspend your disbelief for a second. No, Alberto Del Rio did not mean to hurt him in real life, so there's no real rivalry there. And you know what? If Rey goes on and does something completely different, hey, think about this. Think about this. Maybe he's not getting Alberto Del Rio. Maybe he's going to go start some beef with John Cena. John Cena stole the WWE title from him in the same night that he won it before he was suspended and injured and all that. Maybe he wants to tie up that loose end instead. Wouldn't that be a much bigger story for the guy that you are a fan of? I'm sorry, I'm not the hugest Rey Mysterio fan, and I'm definitely not a John Cena fan, but I know Rey Cena is way bigger than Rey Alberto Del Rio, and I'm just tossing it out there. This is, again, another case of we're not getting what we wanted. WWE's not doing what we predicted they would do. We don't like being wrong, so we're gonna bitch. Here's another story. Here's another thing for you to think about. They never said that Rey Del Rio is never gonna happen. All that they've let out of the bag right now is that it's not happening at this pay-per-view. That's it. That is it. That's it. I'm sorry. You come back from suspension, I don't care, you know, strike 1, strike 2, whatever. He's been gone for a year. Regardless of why he was gone for a year. Let's just say he took a year off. You know, let's take out the drug suspension, let's take out the injury, let's just say he took a year off. In that time, in that year that he's been away, he's done nothing to make it believable that he would be in a main event spot. So why would he be? Why would he, you know, come back and da-da-da-da? These are the same people that bitch that Cena's always in the main spot, that The Rock's always in the main spot, that Lesnar's taking over the spots, that Triple H is taking over the spots. But if your guy comes back, he needs the main event spot because, god damn it, he deserves it, and god damn it, we deserve it, and da-da-da-da-da, and we've missed him for a year, and we're butthurt, and we want the match that we want, and fuck everybody else. No. No. You have no idea what they're going to do with Rey. They could do something that will send him to the moon. Now that Punk is heel, you could have Rey versus Punk, and you could get your precious WWE title back around your masked superstar's waist. Yes, I'm biased. I was happy for people like Preston when Rey Mysterio finally came back because it was their guy. It was their guy. And, you know, I wanted to be happy for them. But much as I try, much as I try to have an open mind, I find myself not giving a fuck. Really. There are way too many other combinations of wrestlers and way too many matches that we haven't seen that are potentially on the horizon for me to put the brakes on and wait for Rey Mysterio. I'm sorry. And all you people that are butthurt, that they're not you. Okay. Be happy that he's back. Be happy that he's back. You know, he's got 2 drug suspensions. You know, friggin' Jeff Hardy had 2 drug suspensions, and he hasn't been seen since. Oh, yes. At least you got your guy back. I could sit here on my high horse. I said it before. I could sit here on my high horse and say, my guy's in TNA. Why the fuck would I want to watch WWE anymore? But the answer to that is because my guy might be gone, but the guys that are left behind, the guy that he put over before he left, is running shit. Oh, yes. Look around. Take the mask off. It'll improve your view. It'll improve your periphery. You can see that other shit is going on. Singularity hurts you as a wrestling fan. That's why I have a Fave 5 and a Tier 2 Fave 5 instead of a Fave 1. Because if your whole fan experience revolves around how they treat one guy, you are going to give yourself a coronary. And I'm sorry to Preston and the other people out there that I do have a shitload of respect for, but it has to be said. It has to be said. Give somebody else some credit. Give the WWE some leeway. What's he been back? 2 weeks? 2 weeks, and you've already put the hammer down. WWE's fucking up Rey. I don't like it. I'm gonna... whatever. Lots of people doing it. And yes, I don't get it. Because... My cup of give a shit is empty on Rey, if I can borrow a phrase. The abacus to count the fucks I don't give about Rey is about this big right now. But you know what? I try to put myself in their shoes. 2 weeks back, if it was me and Jeff came back 2 weeks back, I would still be getting over happy that he's being... Fuck, I can speak, I swear. I would still be getting over being happy about the fact that he's back at all. Again. You got 2 scoops of ice cream and you're bitching that you didn't get 4. Get the fuck over it. Moving on. The last one. The ending sequence of Raw. People coming to me specifically because they know I can't stand Cena. You know, oh, how much does it suck? You know, da-da-da-da-da, you know, hashtag same old shit. We got John Cena in the main event. No, same old shit would be if John Cena had Supermaned over Big Show and Punk and The Rock. Here's where I give WWE a little bit of credit, and here's where I'm even on the borderline of giving John Cena a little bit of credit. John Cena's the golden boy of the company. We're not going to change that. As much as we would like to, we're not going to. But here's the thing. Golden boy of the company got taken out by Big Show. Big Show got taken out by The Rock. The Rock got taken out by CM Punk. So, you know, by the end of the night, Cena's 4th on the totem pole. That's as good as we're gonna get until this fucker is fired, quits, or croaks. That's as good as we're gonna get. You might as well enjoy it. You've got Cena laid out. You've got the guy that destroyed him on the Super Bowl stage also laid out. So not only is CM Punk portrayed as the true champion, as the true, better of the situation, he not only destroyed the Golden Boy, he destroyed the guy that destroyed the Golden Boy. This is your guy. Most of you guys that are out there making these kinds of complaints are the smart marks, are the ones that think there should be more real wrestling in wrestling. And I'm sorry, the symbol of real wrestling in wrestling right now isn't Daniel Bryan, because his next rivalry is Charlie fucking Sheen, and he can have fun with that. The representation of real wrestling in wrestling right now is CM Punk, and he's about 3 steps above Cena right now. And if you want to call that hashtag same old shit, then you're just complaining for the sake of complaining. And in case you've forgotten, I am SpazPhoenix, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there or unsubscribe. I really don't give a shit. You know, talk down there, tell me what an asshole I am, dislike this video, flag this video. I know who's gonna do it, I know exactly who you are. You know, start a conversation, keep this conversation going if you want to, but for right now, me and John, thank you for being the type of fan that you are. I'm done, you tag in whenever you want, because for right now, I am tagging out. Bye.